Business news from the Capital Region. This is Washington Business Report with ABC7 national correspondent Rebecca Cooper.
Thanks for joining us for this week's look at the biggest stories in business and finance. This week, there was plenty of anxiety in Washington and on Wall Street, with investors' nerves on edge over interest rates and international crises. Former Governor Jim Gilmore is here with the Washington Post's Stephen Overly to break it all down in the roundtable. And on the show today, expert advice on how to get the media spotlight to shine on your business. But first, she's got a big week ahead for D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. The business community will be watching closely when the mayor delivers her first ever State of the District address. Voters are invited to attend live or via live stream as she lays out her fresh start plan for the district economy. She wanted to talk jobs with us and asked to meet up at the Watergate Hotel as they unveiled plans to pump $125 million into a major renovation. But there was plenty to talk about with this new mayor, from Metro to marijuana to threats of possible jail time for defying Congress, plus being a woman in one of the nation's most powerful jobs. Mayor Bowser, welcome to Washington Business Report. This is the first time we've had you on that we get to call you Mayor Bowser.
Well, thank you for having me.
Today, we're at the unveiling of what the Watergate's going to look like. So let's start with that development. You're excited about it.
I'm very excited about it, and I'm just excited about developments all across the city where we have D.C. residents working, great economic investment from the private sector, the public sector. It's just another signal of how well D.C. is doing.
You got a long way to go.
Yes. I know one of the biggest reasons I was elected is to focus on how we can close gaps in the city and ensure that more people have a pathway to the middle class. And I look at the city, I made a commitment to be a mayor for all 8 wards, and that's exactly what I intend to do. I did announce an initiative that's focused on not just reactive constituent services, but proactive, data-driven strategies that are strategically implemented throughout the city. So we kicked that off in Anacostia, and we're going to be in every part of the city.
A business audience loves data-driven results, but politics is full of lawyers and public officials and not engineers and other people who are usually metric-driven, data-driven type people. What kind of data are you going to be looking at, and what are your metrics that you're trying to reach?
Well, we've been very lucky in attracting a very talented team, and I said all along that I would look far and wide for the best people who had the best ideas, get behind them and make sure they had the resources to do their jobs. I hired a professional city manager who's managed cities around the country. I attracted from the federal government our data guy who's going to bring CapStat back onto the District of Columbia. So no matter what the problem is, whether we're talking about parking meters or we're talking about emergency response, we'll have a performance team, and their job every day is to look at the functions of government, use data to make government operate better. So that's part of what we're going to do. So we're not just looking for people who've been in government their whole careers, although we've attracted some really great government officials, but people from all walks of life to serve in the government and to serve on our boards and commissions.
Take me behind the scenes of your management style when things go wrong, as they do every day when you're in political office, especially when it's snowed this much at the beginning of a term. What kind of a manager are you? Are you a everyone come to my office and tell me who's to blame? Are you a more of a soft approach? How can we fix this? What's your management style?
Well, it's true that for the first, I think, 8 weeks of our administration, it snowed at least once, or there was some kind of precipitation. And I think
that's the hardest thing to happen.
That is the hardest thing to happen. And I will say that we got it right just about every time. The one time we didn't get it right, I did call all of our staff into a organized CapStat. I told you we're going to review that to find out what went wrong. And so whether it's schools or whether it's sidewalks or how our buses performed or how well we picked up the trash, we examined it from top to bottom to make sure we got it right the next time.
I don't know which to talk to you about next, federal government or Metro. So let me start by federal government, because not only are you not the federal government, but there was talk of the federal government throwing you in jail if you went ahead with D.C. pot legalization. I talked to the Republicans in Congress who were not happy with you. I have to say, several of them complimented you on the job that you're doing as mayor, but they still weren't happy with your decision to proceed with pot legalization. How does it feel to be the only mayor in the country that has to answer to Congress in the way that you do? Well,
it's an injustice that the residents of the District of Columbia are also frustrated by. We are tax-paying American citizens. We send our residents to war. We pay taxes, and we do everything that every other American does. And we deserve to have a vote in the Congress and 2 voting senators. And that's just the bottom line.
Before we get to your jobs plan, you've got a job to fill. You all are trying to find, you all being the regional leaders need to find a new person to head up Metro.
Absolutely.
And there's been widespread reporting that there is some disagreement among regional leaders about what it takes to replace the head of Metro. Accurate reporting that you and Governor Hogan favor someone who would be more of a shake it up and make over an organization type of leader over someone who's got transit background? What are you looking for?
I am looking for somebody who can right the ship and understands how big businesses work, because that's basically what Metro is, and how to work with a distressed entity and bring it back.
So talk to me more about your plans for jobs. It's not an easy solution in a city that has PhDs and people without high school educations, in a city where it's difficult for the Walmarts to move in, not only because of struggle over how much they should pay, but real estate's expensive. So it's easier for a law firm to be in the District of Columbia than a store that can pay minimum wage jobs.
Well, you know, isn't it interesting that we've kind of turned the corner in that? When I was first elected 8 years ago, I started going to a retail conference to attract retailers to Washington, D.C.
We've got a target now.
So now when I go to that conference, we've attracted just about every retailer that we've targeted. Pun intended. And now what our challenge is to make sure that those retailers are going all across the city.
Hardest part of the job that you expected and hardest part of the job that you didn't expect. Let's start with the hardest part of the job that you saw coming.
The biggest thing that is surprising is that there's always it's unpredictable every day. So you start out the day thinking you're going to do these 10 things, and 5 other things will have you move in their direction. So it's what's key, and I think what I've determined that's going to make me most successful is to work on the 5 things that come up, but always go back to the agenda, because people elected me to take care of all of the things that are planned and unplanned, but also to move an agenda.
Besides Mother Nature, what's the hardest part of the job that you didn't expect?
People wanting me to close the government and close schools. I did not expect that. Nor did I expect the kind of...
Trust me, as a mom, I'm ready for the schools to stay open.
The passion that they feel about those decisions.
Was it trying during the campaign, and how is it now being often cited as a female mayor?
Well, I accept it with pride, and I especially accept it for all the little girls who are watching me and cheering for me and seeing that they can be anything and they can run for mayor in their hometown or do anything that they like. The bottom line, though, is I'm the mayor of the District of Columbia. I represent the men and the women, and I am elected to move an agenda that affects people's lives.
Mayor Bowser settling into this job and looking to create new jobs for the District of Columbia. Thanks for joining us on Washington Business Report.
Thank you.
And of course, we'll be covering the state of the district both on ABC 7 News and News Channel 8.